Across the world, panic over 5G is growing as social media users spread misinformation blaming the communications network for the coronavirus pandemic. Well, joining me now to help dispel those myths is general practitioner Dr. Gero Bayarder. So Dr. Bayarder, how dangerous is this misinformation?
Well, every conspiracy theory very much distracts from the reality of the COVID-19 situation and puts people at risk. And if people believe that there's no virus, for example, which is what some of the conspiracy theorists believe, then they're putting themselves at risk because they feel that just avoidance of areas with 5G will be sufficient. And that clearly is not the case. It is caused by a virus. The real concern is it's an absolute distraction from the reality, and it stops us from doing what we should, which is self-isolating and washing our hands as often as we have an opportunity with soap and water.
And I mean, in my limited understanding of how viruses work, this theory doesn't seem to make any sense. So does this then show that, in large, people don't understand really how a virus can spread?
Absolutely. So there have been theories about radio waves going all back to the time of the dawn of TV. So with 3G technology, 4G technology, and now 5G technology, there's always been some concerns that it somehow affects health. But actually, we're using exactly the same radio waves as we've done since 1998. The only difference now is there happens to be a pandemic, which is a complete coincidence. People have put the two together because 5G originated in China, and so did the virus, but that's a very tenuous link. And when you actually look at the science of this, the waves are high frequency but very low energy. And so we've studied this repeatedly. We see the effects on human physiology are just negligible. They do nothing. It dissipates as soon as it hits the skin. It's very difficult at penetrating buildings even. And the energy and the potential harm from the microwave in your oven, microwave oven in your kitchen, which nobody moans about because it's also perfectly safe, is much higher than you would expect from 5G. So it really does not have an effect on your immune system sufficient to cause susceptibility to the virus. Catching the virus causes the virus, not 5G.
Now, there's already been a lot of talk about this online, even with some celebrities, Woody Harrelson, for example, sharing it. So that must make it difficult for people like yourselves, the scientists, to get the real information out there.
Absolutely. People are increasingly reliant on untrustworthy sources for their news and information, and that's largely social media. And that means that anyone can actually put out anything they wish. It can be a complete invention, and it will gain an audience, and it can become literally viral, excuse the pun in this situation. And there is a lot of danger in that. We've got lots of suitable sources that you can turn to. The WHO, specifically on its website, states that 5G doesn't cause any kind of health concern, including COVID-19. You can look at the Public Health England site, the gov.uk sites. They will give you proper information. And also, if you go to proper media, such as yourselves, there will always be properly vetted information on that as well. The danger is actually believing what a mate of a mate of a mate says on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is, basically. That's when dangerous conspiracy theories come in and distract from the reality. The reality is a very simple one. The virus can't move on its own. It certainly can't be transferred by radio waves, no matter what their specification is, 3G, 4G or 5G. There's no possibility of that. A virus is only propelled a very short distance, 2 to 3 meters, by a cough or a sneeze. So it really is not going to go anywhere on a radio wave. And that's preposterous. It's equally preposterous that it weakens our immune system to such a degree that we can get the virus. We can get the virus if people don't socially isolate it, don't socially isolate and they pass it from one person to another. That's how we get it.
Okay, well, let's go through some of the myths and you can dispel them one by one. So the first one is that 5G can suppress the immune system so that the virus can spread.
No, it doesn't. It has negligible effects on physiology, and you don't have to take it from me. A quick search on the internet will find preeminent lecturers, academics, and researchers in all fields, so in medical fields and in the fields of physics, who will completely debunk that and say it causes no effect whatsoever.
The next one is that the virus gets into the body by travelling somehow on the 5G waves.
There are only specific sites in the body that the virus can get into easily, and those are the moist mucous membranes. Those are in your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. And for this theory to be correct, the virus would need to be carried along on a wave and hone in like a guided missile into those three areas to be absorbed. That's clearly unlikely at best. And also, most of our surface area is skin or clothing, and we've never suffered, or I don't feel that there's any cases, I looked for them, of any kind of suggestion of radiation burns or anything similar on the skin of people who feel that they've had COVID-19. If you look at the distribution of 5G, 5G is very prevalent in areas like South Korea, which have had some of the lowest death rates in the world.
And the final one then is that the masts, the 5G masts that is, are dangerous to wildlife.
I don't believe that's true. I think that there's possibly a germ of something in there, in that any kind of electromagnetic signal can affect the navigation system in birds, which we don't fully understand. And so it can cause them to lose their bearings and lose their sense of how high they are. When you look at birds who have died en masse, it looks like they have died from trauma, not from brain fry or any kind of radiation issue. So we know for a fact that electromagnetic waves of any source, and they're clearly very sensitive because they could pick up on electrical signals which are just there naturally and use them for navigation, that can actually offset their navigation systems and cause them to crash. But that's not the same thing at all, and doesn't mean that 5G is dangerous for us.
Well, Dr. Jero Bayarder, very important stuff there. Thank you very much for your time.